Thinking about tying the knot in Maryland? Unlock the secrets to getting your marriage license smoothly with our expert tips. Welcome to this explainer, where we're going to walk you through exactly what it takes to legally say I do in the Old Line State. Whether you're a lifelong resident or you're planning a beautiful destination wedding right by the Chesapeake Bay, starting this process well prepared is going to save you time, money, and honestly, a whole lot of unnecessary stress.
Okay, let's dive right into a bureaucratic reality that actually trips up a ton of couples right out of the gate. You know, if you live in Montgomery County and you just pop down to apply for your license at your local courthouse, but your actual wedding venue is across the state in Anne Arundel County, well, your license literally won't work. By Maryland law, a marriage license can only be used and the ceremony can only take place in the exact county where the license was issued. It's a real game changer if you don't know it.
Think of this explainer as your foolproof roadmap to the altar. We'll be looking at eligibility and documents, where and how to apply, understanding costs, waiting and validity, some pro tips, and a quick legal recap.
Section 1. Eligibility and required documents. Let's start the adventure with the preparatory phase.
The absolute most crucial point here is the age requirement, mainly because Maryland completely overhauled its minor marriage laws back in 2022. Today, anyone under the age of 17 is absolutely prohibited from marrying under any circumstances. No way around it. Now, if you are exactly 17, it's a highly regulated process requiring a certified court order, plus notarized consent from all parents or a medical certificate. But for the vast majority of you, those 18 and older, you can apply without any age restrictions whatsoever.
When you're actually ready to apply, you can't just show up empty-handed, right? First, you're going to need an official government-issued ID to prove your age, like a driver's license, passport, or birth certificate. You'll also need to provide your social security number, though don't worry, it won't actually be printed on the public marriage license. Finally, and this is a big one, if either of you has been married before, you need the exact month, day, year, county, and state of any prior marriage dissolutions. Whether it was a divorce or the passing of a spouse, the clerk requires that precise data for your application.
And this next point brilliantly illustrates how Maryland accommodates pretty much everyone. Citizenship is literally not a requirement to get married in the state. If you are a non-U.S. citizen or an international couple coming to Maryland for your wedding, you obviously won't have a social security number. So you can simply write NA for not applicable right on that section of the application. The rest of the documentation requirements remain exactly the same.
Moving on to Section 2, Where and How to Apply. Step 1, as we established earlier, is identifying your venue's county, because you've got to apply through the circuit court clerk in that specific jurisdiction. When it comes to actually applying, thankfully, if you are going in person, only one of the parties needs to be present at the courthouse. That one person simply needs to bring all the required demographic data and IDs for both individuals, give the information under oath, and pay the fee.
But hey, what if neither of you lives in the Maryland county where you're getting married? Well, Maryland law actually allows out-of-towners to use a mail-in form called a non-resident affidavit. But beware, and this is a big one, this isn't something you can just take to your local bank notary. It must be completed in the presence of and sealed by a comparable official in your home state, like a clerk of court or a prothonotary. A standard notary public is explicitly not accepted for this. Once it's properly sealed, you just mail it with your fee to the Maryland county where your wedding will take place.
Now take a look at a standard Maryland marriage license application form. As you can see, it's remarkably straightforward. It's just collecting your full legal names, residential addresses, states of birth, marital status, and the parental consent methods if they happen to apply. Notice that bold declaration right at the bottom where you solemnly affirm, under the penalties of perjury, that the information is true.
All right, Section 3, Understanding Costs and Fees. Let's talk money.
So our next stop on the roadmap is the payment counter, where Maryland's decentralized laws create some fascinating and kind of confusing price variations. The state sets a baseline fee of just $10. However, the state legislature authorizes individual counties to add their own local surcharges. Because of this, the cost of a marriage license varies wildly depending on where your venue is located. For instance, a license is just $25 in Somerset County, $35 in Baltimore County, and jumps all the way up to $75 in Frederick County. Also, side note, if you want a judge or clerk to actually perform a civil ceremony for you right at the courthouse, there is a flat $25 additional fee statewide.
Now you might be wondering why counties like Frederick or Prince George's charge so much more. Well, it is surprisingly poignant to know that the extra money you pay for your marriage license is legally mandated to fund something incredibly important: By law, those additional local surcharges are distributed directly to 24-hour domestic violence programs, crisis centers, and battered spouse shelters within that specific county.
Section 4. Timing, Waiting, and Validity. Let's check the clock. Listen closely to this one, because your license does not take effect the moment you hand over your cash. Nope, Maryland enforces a strict 48-hour waiting period. By statute, your license becomes active at exactly 6 a.m. on the second calendar day following its issuance. So, if you apply on a Thursday afternoon, you cannot get married on Friday. You absolutely must wait until 6 a.m. on Saturday. And once it becomes active, the clock starts ticking. You have exactly 6 months to use it before it expires and becomes totally void.
Which brings us to Section 5, Pro Tips and Common Mistakes. As your guide through this explainer, I want to make absolutely sure you avoid the common traps that can delay or literally ruin a couple's big day. We already talked about the biggest mistake, applying in the wrong county. But the second biggest mistake? Assuming you can pay with plastic everywhere. A lot of Maryland counties, like Somerset and Garrett, are entirely cash-only for marriage licenses. Always verify the accepted payment methods before you go. Finally, the post-wedding paperwork. Once your ceremony is a wrap, your officiant must sign and return the official copy of the license to the clerk within 5 days. Yes, it's the officiant's legal responsibility, but hey, it's your marriage on the line. So you should absolutely ensure this gets done promptly to secure the legal proof of your union.
And finally, Section 6, Recap and Final Steps.
Let's recap this whole journey so you know exactly what your final actionable steps are to get this done smoothly and totally stress-free. First, confirm the county of your venue and check that specific circuit court's website for their current fee and payment rules. Second, gather your government IDs, your social security numbers, and dig up those exact dates and locations if you've been married previously. Third, timing is everything. Applying about 3 to 4 weeks ahead of your wedding date is the absolute sweet spot. It gives you a great buffer for any unexpected paperwork issues or mail delays if you are using that non-resident affidavit, but it ensures you safely avoid violating that 6-month expiration rule.
And, as with all things legal, we've got to provide a quick disclaimer. Keep in mind that legislative rules, county fees, and courthouse operating hours can, and definitely do, change. It is always highly advisable to verify current protocols directly with the local circuit court clerk's office in the county where you plan to marry. Furthermore, if you have highly specific questions about your personal circumstances, you should absolutely consult a qualified legal professional.
So, knowing the hidden rules of local county fees, that strict 48-hour waiting period, and the exact paperwork required, how are you going to schedule your application to guarantee a perfect wedding day? Now that you hold the ultimate map to Maryland's marriage laws, what's stopping you from conquering the paperwork and focusing on the celebration of a lifetime? Thanks so much for joining us for this explainer, and we will see you next time.